Hey guys, it's Katie here with Life Mundane and welcome back to my channel. If you guys have been around for a while, you may remember a video that I did back in 2020 about my 15 favorite podcasts for kids. This was such a fun video to make that I thought it was about time I make a part 2. I want to share with you guys 10 totally different favorite podcasts that we have discovered over the past 2 years, and I'm so excited to share them with you guys. So let's get started. My name is Katie and welcome to Life in the Mundane. I am a second generation homeschool mom of 6 beautiful kiddos, and on this channel we talk all things resources. I love to share with you resources that are going to help you in your homeschooling and help encourage you in your biblical parenting, and how you can utilize those to their fullest potential so that you can make the most of the little moments. Before I jump into the podcast, I do want to just put the little disclaimer out there that I have not listened to every single episode of any of these podcasts. So I'm not giving a full seal of approval. If there's anything that I know about that you should potentially be concerned about or may just want to be aware of, I will let you know here in this video. But as always, please listen with your kids and make sure that it fits with your family's values and with the things that are important to you. But without further ado, let's get started. Number 1 is Million Bazillion. This podcast is so much fun for kids and incredibly educational. It is all about kids asking financial questions and then them giving the answers in a very kid-friendly but heavily educational way. Some of the topics that you might hear on this is, why do all prices in the store end in 99 cents? What is the stock market? And upcoming in this next season, they're going to tackle the question of inflation. Kids keep hearing that word being thrown out there a lot these days, and they're going to tackle that in a kid-friendly way. Your kids can really learn a lot about finances through this podcast, and it's one that we really enjoy listening to in the car together. Number 2 is the music podcast. This one is a fun one to help you learn about different musical instruments, their history, music theory, and just exploring music in general. They do come from a lot of different cultures and countries, which I really enjoy, and we really loved the episode all about silly instruments, and they even had a tutorial at the end that helped share how your kids could actually make musical instruments out of vegetables. It is really one that is sure to make you laugh, to learn, and to enjoy different musical things that you may not have known about before. Number 3 is The Pond, or Life at the Pond, excuse me. This one is a really fun one. My kids have actually listened to the Pond series. If you remember from my very first video, when I talked about Paws and Tails, it's kind of in that vein. It is a Christian podcast for kids and based around all of these different animals who live life at the pond. They learn about God and how to be a good neighbor to one another and how to obey God's word. It's really fun, family-friendly entertainment, probably geared a little bit more towards elementary age and under, but honestly, all of my kids really enjoy it. The Naturalist Kid podcast. It is not at all what I initially thought it was. It is actually a podcast all about nature studies. It is written by a homeschooling mom, and she actually hosts the podcast with her children as they explore different nature topics. They talk a little bit about folklore. They talk about some history topics having to do with nature. And honestly, what I found to be the biggest pro to this podcast is actually their show notes. They have lots of resources to help encourage your kids and give you resources to have more fun on your nature studies. I'm not naturally a nature study person. It doesn't come naturally to me at all. So having extra resources to make the most of those moments is always extra helpful. Number 5 is probably my absolute favorite and my kids' absolute favorite from this list, and that is Smash Boom Best. This is a very unique podcast. It is actually in debate format. So your child will select an episode where different experts on the topic will come and debate their side. You'll have things like Lego versus Minecraft, penguins versus pandas, skateboards versus bikes, and Star Wars versus Marvel. There are all sorts of different topics out there that you can click on and listen to. And within this podcast, they are going to have different kinds of debate. There is a judge for every episode, and so each side will present their side and offer a rebuttal. They will have different rounds where they present their information in different ways. Some are prepared in advance and some are just done on the fly. It is such a great way to introduce your kids to the concepts and some of the structure of debate, how different arguments can be presented in different ways within a debate. I particularly as a parent love the little segments between the debate where they actually teach your kids about different debate skills and logic skills. So they will share share a portion of a debate and they will explain how that was not really a great way to go about it because they were using a straw man argument, or how they did a good job appealing to emotions but backing it up with facts. This really does lend itself to a lot of different learning opportunities. We like to listen to it, pause it at the end, discuss with the kids who did the better job arguing the point. My kids really have learned that despite where they stand on the argument, that sometimes the points should be awarded to the other team because they did a better job arguing that point. So I just would highly recommend this one. That being said, I'm going to put a little caveat here. There are some topics that are discussed or debated that we do not do personally. I believe they have one on zombies versus vampires, another one versus telekinesis versus telepathy. We skipped those, but those are very evident in the title. And so that has made it really easy to kind of weed through which ones we are okay listening to and not. So I personally recommend listening to this one with your kids in the car or at home, but this really is a fun one. Number 6 is the Adventures in Odyssey podcast. Now, while I wish these were Adventures in Odyssey episodes, which would be amazing, they are not, but it still makes it into our favorites list because they take you behind the scenes of a lot of the things they do in Adventures in Odyssey. We are a big Adventures in Odyssey fan. This is done by Focus on the Family. It is a Christian audio series, and it's something that my husband and I grew up on as homeschool kids, so it holds a special place in our hearts. And so getting to hear the behind the scenes, why they decided to do certain things a different way, having interviews with the different actors, it's just a lot of fun for our kids to listen to. Number 7 is Story Pirates. Now this one makes it on my kids' favorite list. I can't say that I'm as big of a fan of it, but I promise to include it because they really enjoy it. Story Pirates is actually a podcast where kids write in different stories or different scenarios. They maybe answer a question that was posed on a previous podcast, and they submit their writings. Then the podcast producers take their ideas for their stories and bring them to life through an audio drama type format. Sometimes the stories are really suspenseful and interesting. Sometimes they're really silly and goofy. My kids really love the fact that it does bring to life that kids are actually writing, and it is great to encourage kids to continue in their writing. It's a little on the silly side for me personally, but it's one that they have really enjoyed. Number 8 is the Sugar Creek Gang. If you guys are familiar with these Christian books that have been published and put out there for, I don't know, as long as I've been a kid, they have actually turned these classic stories into podcast episodes. So these are full-length stories. I really have enjoyed them with my kids and kind of revisiting that book series. And you can now get it on podcasts. Number 9 is Forever Ago. This is another really funny but fun educational podcast for your kids. Forever Ago explores the origin stories of different common household things, like how did emojis get started? Or what is the history of the shoe? It's really fun as it takes your kids through an audio dramatization, so to speak, of the history of these different items and getting to see how some things actually started, how they became what they are today. For shoes, for instance, started out as a very utilitarian thing, then became a piece of status in the community, and then became a household name again. So just kind of seeing that progression and how things ebb and flow has been really interesting for my kids and for myself to listen to. Number 10, our final one for today, is the moment of These, again, are questions that kids have submitted. This podcast is very short and to the point. It's about 5 minutes per episode, whereas many of the other ones are at least 10, 12 to 20 or 30 minutes. And this one is really a great one if your kids have specific questions that you want to tackle but have no clue how to answer. They answer questions like, why are yawns contagious? What produces eye gunk when we sleep at night? And why is being right hand more common? Fun and informational. My kids have really enjoyed it, these 5-minute questions and answer time. And I'm sure it'll be one that you guys will enjoy as well. Well, I know this was really quick, but I hope you enjoyed these 10 podcasts. Let me know down in the comments below what are some of your favorite podcasts for kids. And like I said before, be sure to check out our other list of 15 favorite podcasts for kids, as I'm sure you'll find even more to help you in this adventure as you go about this summer, maybe listening by the pool, listening in the car on your road trips, or other places. If you want to know more about our platforms to listen to audiobooks and how we incorporate those into our school day, be sure to check out the video here, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!